Hello!
Hello everyone!
Welcome to the first of many EMMEDIA Twitch streams. We're super happy to be here. We wanted to start just by giving a bit of an intro about who we are and some of the things that we're doing around town.
We are AZMA Arts, AZMA for short, and we are an artistic collective. Matt and I started this project, but many artists have collaborated with us, and we have been doing projection mapping in Calgary and Winnipeg, and we're very excited to show you our work. I am from Colombia. I was born and raised in Bogota, and after that I moved to Germany, and now I'm here in Treaty 7 territory, and I'm very grateful to be here and share this with you all. My background is in animation and new media art, and I have divided love in these two realms that I think you can see in the work that we do.
Yeah, I've been working with digital media for the last 15 or so years. I studied sound technology and electroacoustic composition, actually, and that was kind of my first experience with manipulating digital media. So I started off working with sound and later got into 3D graphics and programming for interactive installation and design, and have lately been working with video work, bringing video into the world through projection. This is a piece we're really proud of.
Would love it.
We did this last year at Beakerhead.
It's a collaboration, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It's a collaboration between us and a Santa Fe-based artist. His name is Don Cannell, and he makes these beautiful large-scale sculptures with recycled materials.
We were approached by Beakerhead to collaborate with Don to, during the evening, augment his sculpture with projection. So we got a really large projector and we placed it on a scissor lift, and we were able to fill this entire 35-foot bear with projection. We like to make things interactive and to give some agency to the people that are experiencing the work. So we built a system into here that would allow people to interact with the projection by using a heartbeat sensor.
So your heartbeat is activating the projection. And the concept behind the piece is following what Don Cannell wanted with the sculpture of the bear. The bear is standing and it's looking to the world, and it's kind of like saying like, oh, my habitat, it's being damaged, and what's going on? So we wanted to include like an element of climate change awareness, and that's why we choose two moments for this piece as well. It has an active moment and it has a passive moment. So in the passive moment, when no one is interacting with the bear, you see footage of the Bow River in Calgary. In that moment when the ice of the river is starting to melt, and you see kind of these beautiful winter ice shapes. Also, you see, in contrast with that, light pollution on another river, and you see kind of like how marketing and advertising is like polluting the river, not real polluting, but light polluting the river. So that was the passive state, and the active moment with the projection is with the heartbeat. So you approach the interface, you put your hand on it, and you see like this moment of illuminating the bird with amazing colors, bright colors, and you see that slowly these colors that are pulsing with your heart start to change, and the bear start to become yellow, orange, red, suggesting that the earth is warming. And then when the bear is full red, you see your face inside of the bear's heart, suggesting that we are all contributing in the way that the world is changing in its climate. This is a collective work. This is a skull mapping, and this is their project Gallery Gallery Invasion, thank you. So what they're doing is they're having this exhibition with these amazing paintings, and they are augmenting the paintings with the use of projection. So the super cool part is that the projectors are not moving. They have these mirrors on top of it that are moving around, and so it creates the illusion that the paintings come alive. And they created very smart these highlights, spotlights that then you can follow around, and there's some narrative. There's a moment in the video where you can actually see the mirror they put on top of the projector. So the projectors are not moving, it's just the mirror that is moving around.
It's coming up here. This is neat because it's integrating real world objects with projection, with digital projection. So it's augmenting the real world. Here you go. You can see the mirror right here. So it's just one projector with this moving head mirror that allows the image to travel all around the room. I think this is quite clever. It's cute, and it's just,
yes. It's just, I really like how they use the space different and the projectors as well.
Let's just talk about how you can actually start to do this, because, hey, you can do this too. Why not? The first thing to do is to think about your concept. We don't need to go too much into this, but if whatever you're going to project, it's good for it to be maybe artistic or to have some meaning or some message or something. So think of a concept. Think of the surface that you're going to project onto and how that surface relates to your concept, or how your concept relates to the surface. That could be if you're projecting onto a building, where is that building located? What is the history of it? Who are the people that live there or lived, in the past? What's the history of the space? So these are all questions you can ask. The next thing, prepare yourself. This is another project we did in Winnipeg. This is Wesley Hall at the University of Winnipeg, University of Manitoba. For Nuit Blanche, we got asked to project onto this building, which is quite beautiful. So in order to do that, we had to create masks, and we had to kind of get the shape of this building so that we could create content that fit into these various elements. Because if you're going to project onto a neat shape like this, you can do whatever you want, but it probably is more interesting if you take the shape into consideration. So you'll notice here there's so many neat architectural features here. There's these archways, there's windows, there's these spires, I think that's what they're called here, chimneys. There's just a lot to work with. So we requested the architectural plan, the elevation plan of this building, which fortunately we were able to get. Sometimes you can't get this.
Sometimes you can't.
But you can get photos or blueprints. If you can't get the plan, you can take a photo of it to use that. The next thing to do is, without getting too technical on here, you need to know what resolution your projector is, because resolution, that's how many, it's measured in pixels. If you know HD, we're talking about HD resolution, that means 1920 by 1080 pixels. So most projectors nowadays are HD resolution. So what that means, if you're using one HD projector, the content that you should create should be that resolution. It should be HD. There's no use making a huge 4K video if your output is only HD, because it's just, the projector can't handle 4K, so why do it, right? It's just kind of a waste of time. Likewise, if you're sourcing images, or you happen to do something and your video is 320, 480 by 320 pixels, you have to be aware that when you blow that up onto a big resolution, the quality might not look so great, right? You might notice some pixels or some weird shapes or something. So just to be aware, resolution is important. The next thing you can do is take your shape and start to create some masks out of it. If you're familiar with Photoshop or After Effects, masks are these shapes that you can use to reveal or obscure certain elements of an image. So for example, this is a mask of the Wesley Hall building from the previous image here. And what we did is we isolated, you see there's 3 different colors here, blue, red, and green. We chose a different color for each kind of surface that we wanted to isolate. So the arches we did in green, the windows in red, and the building surface itself was in blue. So by having this, and this looks like one image, but they're actually 3 layers. So we have these like green arches on one layer, and the windows on another, and the building on another. So we're able to play video content and mask out, using each one of these masks, mask out different areas of it. So imagine, we have our image, our mask of Wesley Hall, right? And it's our flat kind of image that we've created. The perspective of that image is like directly on, right? Like it's orthographic, it's called perspective, meaning that you're seeing this image in this kind of flat plane, which when you think about it is completely, in the real world, you would never see an image like that. If you're standing in front of a building, the perspective of that image is going to be much different, right? You're going to see it from a different perspective, or if you're off to the side a little bit. So when you're projection mapping, you have to consider the viewer's perspective, but you also have to consider the perspective of the projector. So if you're trying to project something onto a building, unless you have your projector like perfectly aligned in the middle of the building, and even then, the perspective is going to be a little off. And so you need to correct that. So keystoning is one of the most simple kind of perspective correction techniques, and it's built into a lot of projectors. Another type of warping or mapping technique is called warping or corner pinning. This is often necessary when you are projecting onto a more complicated object, because, for example, that building that we showed at the beginning, it had these curved
cylinder
pillar kind of things on either side. So if you're projecting this, the image that we had was a flattened out kind of version of that. And so if you're projecting onto this curved surface, you probably need to curve or warp your image in some way. So imagine you have this building, right, which is this very wavy shape. You need to do something like this this is warping the image so that it fits onto the shape of this curved building, so that you can do something like that. Projection, it's always going to be a little weird. It's always going to be crooked a little bit. And so you're never going to get this like perfectly aligned sort of union. You have to overlap a little bit. And when you overlap 2 sources of light, it doubles. Well, I don't know if it's quite doubling, but it increases the brightness in that area. So what you're seeing here in these brighter areas, this is where the 2 projectors are overlapping, creating a brighter section. And so in order to get rid of this bright middle point, you need to do a technique called edge blending. And essentially what that is applying a gradient onto the edges of your image so that it kind of fades away in opacity as it gets towards the center. So we loaded you up with some inspiration. We showed you some tools that you can look at, some techniques to understand. More important than the software is just kind of understanding what you're trying to do, because all the software does essentially the same thing, masking, warping, but you just need to understand like what that means even, and then you can apply it to any software, be it Mad Mapper, Touch Designer. QLab is another piece of software that has simple mapping built into it. You just got to start doing it, and like don't let all these like expensive things kind of get in the way, because some of the like most impactful things can be very small and be subtle. It's not about like being massive. It's about making an impact and like revealing magic or doing something cool or like showing another side of something or delivering a message. Like, there's lots of ways to do that. So don't get too like concerned about making it massive, because that's one thing and it's fun.
But it's not the only thing.
But it's not the only thing.
There's projection mapping that really can be very minimal, small scale in your home. I don't know.
Yeah.
Map your toilet.
Map your toilet.